And a very warm welcome once again, viewers, from the Dekho Apna Desh team at the Ministry of Tourism. We told you last time when we signed off on Tuesday that on Thursday we're going to take you driving. And so that's exactly what we are doing today. The weather is holding very nice and it's time to start traveling very soon as we are a little more out of COVID. But in any case, start taking a pencil and a pen, keep making those maps, keep making those line diagrams as to which is that first place that you're going to go to. And perhaps taking the car out, packing the picnic hamper, getting the kids in the back seat and driving. Doesn't seem like the best thing to do as soon as we are just, as I said, a little more safe with COVID behind us. Well, if you have any apprehensions on driving, don't, because we have two specialists with us today who want to tell you all about the driving holidays in India. And before they do so, I'm going to tell you a little bit about why you should love to drive in India. India has a road network of 58,97,671 kilometers. Doesn't that sound a lot? It is. It makes India the second biggest road network in the world. And aren't we proud of that? Why should we not be heading out to the roads then? Not only do we have the second largest network of the roads, but before the webinar, as I always try and learn a little bit about the subject, viewers, in India, we have 11 of the 13 highest motorable passes are in India. I felt so proud of that. And every webinar leaves, as I have been saying every single time, a little more humbled about my own self, my own country. We've been doing so much as a nation. And why should then we not be traveling the length and the breadth of that country and appreciating the work of my fellow citizens? The highest pass today is the Umling La Pass in Ladakh. And then there's Manna Pass, there's Marsimek. There are so many passes which are so beautiful. But even if you don't want to go to the passes, there are the regular roads to drive at. So telling you all about driving today is Mr. Hari Singh from Chandigarh. And he's been rallying from 1990. His family had business interest in travel tours. So I think that kept him going. But more than that is his passion for driving, which has made him a treasure trove of stories along India's highways, the rural roads, the Kacha roads, all kinds of roads. And so he will be telling you all about his journey through India in the last 30 odd years. And joining him is Manish. Manish is in Mumbai today. And he was a journalist, but he's been specializing on Off-Road Academy of the Mahindras. And he has a lot of stories up his sleeve too on how driving in India is thrilling and it's safe and it's amazing. And the way you connect with the people of a place and the inside, the experiential tourism, as we call it now, nothing better than to just pick a car and go driving. So let's do it. Hari, welcome. Manish, welcome. The web screen and the web stage is all yours. Let's go driving.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Pinder. Hi, Hari. How are you doing?
Unmute yourself.
Yeah. Hari will have to unmute himself.
Yeah. Hari, can you just unmute?
Yeah. Hi, how are you, Hari?
Good, Manish. Thank you, ma'am, for that lovely intro. And it's wonderful to be here on this webinar, and great that the Ministry of Tourism is doing so much. So, to start with, we have.
Let me put on that slide first, Hari, so that people understand what kind of stuff we're up to. I'm just going to share the screen. Okay, I hope you guys can see it. Yeah, Hari, do you see it?
Yes, we see it.
Awesome. Hari, why don't you have a crack at the list?
Well, like ma'am has said, that India is a fantastic place to travel. It's got everything. You start from the beaches, you go down south to the backwaters, you move up to the Run of Kutch, you move up into the desert, you have the plateau, and you have the mountains up in the north, the Himalayas, the world famous Himalayas, where just about everybody in the world who wants to see mountains it's on their bucket list. So, we start, with the mountains. You have, like ma'am says, the highest passes, the most rugged terrain, and you can experience just about everything in India. That's the best part. You don't need a visa for any of these trips. You just need to plan well, which we'll discuss as we go along. it's about time we start. I've been traveling from a very, very long time, back in the 80s. Ever since I started my rallying, and my father had a trekking company, so we used to go up into the mountains. I've rallied all over the country. I've been a national rally champion for the 5 years, and that took me to a lot of places. All the rallies used to start off in cities, and we used to go to the most remote areas of that region, which were not seen by any people, because you need the least amount of population, and the rallying roads had to be sealed off with no traffic at all. So the interiors of India, I can tell you, are incredible. There's no other word for it. And it's just that you have to get into your car and just go and explore. Back in the days when I used to go with my father, there used to be a lot of struggle to do anything on those lines, that you had your ambassadors and your Fiats and your Jeeps. So before any trip, even a trip from Chandigarh to Delhi, you had to go and get your car serviced, the carburetor overhauled, tuning, spark plugs. I remember sitting with the mechanic, all excited that we were going to Delhi tomorrow, so get the car going. It was a different experience. But ever since the launch of the Maruti, travel has totally changed the scenario in India. The Maruti 800 was a game changer as far as travel, and for the middle class, for just about anybody, for even the higher income, anybody who had a Maruti had to go else, travel.
So Hari, so you talk about the revolution of the Maruti. Like I said, like Hari's been telling us, India is incredibly beautiful. There is so much to see in our country. In fact, you get to see all kinds of terrain. Whether you want to see snow, whether you want to see sand, whether you want to see mud and slush and rock, every kind of terrain is available in India, considering our geography. And there's, maybe 10 to 20 years ago, a driving holiday was not something which you would generally, be the first thing on your list. Traveling meant going to your nanny's house. But of late, cars have become more of a necessity than a luxury as they used to be, and lot more people are heading out onto the road and driving into the sunset. And that's where we came in. Around 10 years ago, our company started getting into these things in an organized way, and we've been running these expeditions along with Hari for the past 10 years into various regions of India. And before we actually get into what a driving holiday is all about, and planning of it, about driving etiquette, I like you guys to see a video which will give you a taste of what we go through every year on our planned expeditions that we do for people. Feroz, say that first video, please.
Okay, sir.
I'll have to stop my share. Hold on. Yeah, I'll stop my share. So, Feroz, over to you. Hari and I do every year.
To see the car go through all the different terrains without any problems is just absolutely amazing. And then you do your off-roading, you go through riverbeds, and then the streams, and all of it is just perfect. Like, I think I can't particularly pick one spot as being the highlight. I would say the whole experience so far has been breathtaking.
Some of the terrain we crossed was highly virgin. We could tell that there haven't been people there. One of the off-roading trips actually took us up a mountain and onto a landscape where literally no cars can go except the Mahindra because of the awesome four-wheel drives.
The fact that we have visited some of the highest points, like the highest village at Comic, and right now we are at one of the highest motorable roads in the world. So yeah, this is quite a hike.
We managed to go to places that wouldn't be accessible without a four-wheel drive car. Scorpios performed really, really well.
Okay, so I'll share my screen back. Okay, guys, I hope that gives you a little bit of a taste of what we actually encounter on these road expeditions. And see, it's all about the romance of the road. I mean, who doesn't like driving out, onto these long drives? But it's not so. I mean, it is incredibly easy also, but there are certain things you need to take care of, and the idea is to experience the cultures, the diversity that our country has to offer, and do it at your own pace. And I would not call ourselves tourists. I would call ourselves explorers, and try and get integrated into our country. And if you go up north, if you go down south, you'll see there's incredible stark differences in our country in terms of culture and cuisines also. So, like I said, there is this immense satisfaction of doing it yourself. Hari, do you not think so?
Absolutely, absolutely. Every time I've been going up to Spiti for the last 30 years, and each time it's different because it's a different time of the year. It's with different people, and the company matters, and you meet different people. You stay at different places, so it's not the same every time. For me, I'm saying I do it regularly. So for anybody who's doing it for the first time, it's going to be a mind-opening thing for them.
Exactly. We've been doing this for so long, but every time we go there, or any trip that we do together, it's always a new thing. And if I bring this point up, Hari, do you remember that road which was very narrow in Spiti, and today how different it is?
Yeah,
things are continuously changing.
Yeah. And Manish, let me tell the viewers how the network issue was also a problem. And one of the trips some years back, Manish was engaged to his fiancée, and she insisted on having a word with him every time. So, and poor Manish was looking for signal at some crazy places. He used to climb up all different spots, being told there's signal there. The locals would say there's BSNL signal. At that point, poor chap used to go up there and try talking to a very dedicated chap, I must say.
Is there a hint of Zindagi Na Milegi Dobara there?
Yeah. Oh, hota hai. So it was brand new then, and network was an issue in Spiti Valley that time. And the story of the expedition was wherever my vehicle would stop, that means there's network there. So a lot of the calls were made.
Is network an issue on these highest roads that we are talking about?
In some places, there is a problem. Up north, Hari, I think BSNL is the most reliable network up in the mountain.
Yes, now Jio is coming in big time there as well. But on the other hand, I quite enjoyed the older days without the network. You used to leave the networks just beyond Simla, and then you used to go all the way into the Spiti Valley, Sangla Valley, and come out at Manali over the Rohtang Pass. And when you used to come over the Rohtang Pass, I used to say, we are back in civilization, guys. And now you're back to your normal mails and everybody's bang on the road. So I actually had to stop the convoy for about half an hour, 45 minutes for everybody to have a look at there. Because I know whatever I may say that, please don't check your mails right now. When we get to Manali, do that. I know everybody is eager to see what's happening, what they had missed in the last 7 days or whatever. So, it has its pros and cons. I'm quite happy without it as well.
No, on our expeditions, we are absolutely telling everybody, the idea is to disconnect. Do not be, in touch with anybody. Even if your phone has network, switch it off and enjoy what you're, taking in, because not many people get to do this, and not regularly as it is. So our idea is always to disconnect. And even after coming into Manali, I don't switch on my phone. I switch it on much later.
Yeah, so I think we need to see some routes now. It's getting exciting.
So we've already talked about the diversity in our cultures. If you go up north, it's completely different. In the east, it's completely different. Hari, why don't you tell us a little bit about the Buddhist culture, the monk culture over there when we go up in the north?
Well, the north, Ladakh and Spiti and all area is pretty Buddhist dominated, and they are very, very peaceful, loving people. They are fantastic. They mind their own business. And like I would suggest to every traveler who goes there, just remember that you are an ambassador from your state and you're a guest in their state. So please be very, very courteous to them. They're lovely people. They'd love to talk to you. They love to mingle around. The routes that you can do are, there are lots of routes up in the north. You start from Srinagar to Leh. You can go Srinagar to cross Kishtwar into Chamba. From Manali to Leh is a very, very well-used route where not only motoring expeditions, they also do cycling expeditions, trekking expeditions. Back in 1982 or 83, I think I trekked from Manali to Leh, came out at Lama Yuru, and then took the bus from Lama Yuru to Leh, which is, a 5-hour journey at that time. So that took a 30-day trek. So from those days now on to driving holidays, the north is full of mountains. You got to be careful because you're also getting into high altitude. So you got to take your precautions, which we can discuss later on.
So Hari, we will talk about that altitude thing a little later because it tends to hit every year to a lot of people where we go into. So if you're ever planning a trip up north into the mountains, you need to understand that terrain, temperature, weather is not going to be easy, especially the altitude that does hit even the strongest of people. In fact, Hari, आपको याद है मनाली से निकलते शिमला से निकलते ही कोई बीमार हुआ था, who was supposedly the strongest guy in the group,
yes.
And the weakest person in the group was absolutely okay, but or perceived weakest person of the group was absolutely okay.
Yeah,
we have some pictures to to showcase your journeys, because we're already getting questions on how to actually get driving.
Sure. So इस slide में है आगे pictures और but again we'd like to show one more video before we get ahead. फिरोज, अगर आप वो snowball video दिखा सकते हैं तो I'll stop my share.
With 4 wheels and an undying thirst for adrenaline, I set out on a journey to places that test the mettle of man and machine. Places that are privy only to a few audacious souls. Where things don't ever go according to plan. But in that uncertainty lies the true essence of adventure. And this quest for snow made me realize that it's not about pushing your limits. It's about knowing that there are no limits.
I'm going to share my screen again. So, हरी, अगर आपको याद है, हमने 3 घंटे में शायद 500 मीटर किया था उस पर्टिकुलर वीडियो में.
Yeah, that's because of the snow. There was a heavy snow there, and because the traction was not there, so we actually struggled getting the entire convoy through that stretch of about 500 meters. And eventually had to turn back because it was getting too much, and we're running out of time and safety.
The journey of this kind, Hari, if I may interrupt, where did it start from, and what was the route taken? How did it all go?
This
so
one,
this particular.
Go, Manish.
Go ahead, Hari.
Okay, so we started from Chandigarh because Chandigarh is a fantastic base for any expedition into the hills. Up to Simla, then Narkanda. We based ourselves in Narkanda, and this expedition was actually supposed to go to Kaza. And because of the heavy snowfall, we had to take a plan B, and we shifted to the Chanchal Valley, Rodu side. And this particular image is climbing up towards Chanchal Pass, which is another lovely area, which is not like the desert landscape, but more forested, more green. And
couldn't make it though.
Yeah.
बहुत ज़्यादा snow थी.
So Narkanda, and within this region, the Apple region of Himachal, Rodu, Narkanda area, this is where we went for the snow escape.
Right. So guys, see, there are a lot of routes जो available हैं करने के लिए. Depends on how much time you have. Also, पहले let's just get into since it's going to be about motoring expeditions. First, let's talk about the vehicles. ठीक है? I'll just shift to the next slide. Then Hari, I will ask you into the planning side. Okay. So पहले तो weapon of choice. आपको you must understand what kind of vehicle you have, because understanding the limitations of your particular vehicle will decide how far you can go, or where you should go, or where you should not go. पहली बात तो type of vehicle. SUV kind of vehicles have become very popular of late. Of course, because of their high ground clearance, bad road ability. So, of course, they are much more suited to all weather and all India kind of driving. But having said that, Hari, you also know that Swifts and Nanos are going up Ladakh also, and they are able to perform there also. But of course, उसमें आपको थोड़ा ज़्यादा ध्यान रखना पड़ता है गाड़ियों का. अगर आप कोई expedition type driving लेने वाले हैं, तो you should understand कि गाड़ी को कहीं पे भी प्रॉब्लम आ सकती है. ये चीज आपको ध्यान में रखना चाहिए. So you should know कि आपकी सर्विसिंग कहाँ मिल सकती है. Now servicing with Indian made vehicles is a lot easier because every roadside garage can probably take a look at stuff which maybe not possible in all imported vehicles, or in vehicles that are coming from Europe and Japan also, because a lot of the guys are not qualified to handle these vehicles on the road. And plus जितनी ज़्यादा expensive गाड़ी होगी उतना मेरे को डर लगेगा उसको ले जाने में भी. But having said that, if you know what you're doing, any car and every car should be able to go into places. But एक चीज याद रखिए कि जब भी आप planning करें, you should know where your service centers are. So if in case you do break down somewhere, you know where to ask for help. And जैसे let's just pick up the mountains. हरी, अगर हम mountains में जा रहे हैं, जैसे ये गाड़ी आपको दिखती है, ये तो prepared गाड़ी है of course screen पे जो है हमारी. But अगर जैसे हम जाते हैं तो basics cover करने के लिए आपने इसको थोड़े बहुत spare parts carry करने चाहिए. main जैसे rubber belts हो जाती हैं, स्पेयर ट्यूब्स हो जाती हैं, फ्यूजेस हो जाते हैं, ये सब कैरी करना चाहिए. टायर्स कौन से आप सेलेक्ट कर रहे हैं? अगर आपके टायर्स बहुत पुराने हैं तो डू नॉट गो विद ओल्ड टायर्स ऑन अ लॉन्ग ड्राइव. आई वुड प्रिफर 80 ऑल टेरेन काइंड ऑफ टायर्स. टायर 3 टाइप के आते हैं, HT, AT और MT. HT is what we generally have on our vehicles. Those are called highway terrain tires, which are nice and soft for the road and they will work. AT are all terrain tires, जिसमें थोड़ा साइड वॉल्स हार्ड होती हैं गाड़ी की एंड टायर्स की, so that it can tackle rough terrain. वो जल्दी से पंचर नहीं होते. और एक होता है मड टेरेन टायर, जो तो एकदम फुल ऑफ रोडिंग के लिए ही यूज करते हैं. वो दैट इज नॉट रिकमेंडेड फॉर दिस काइंड ऑफ ड्राइविंग. बट बेसिकली अगर आपके पास ऑल टेरेन टायर है तो यू शुड बी ओके. बट दीज आर द थिंग्स दैट यू शुड टेक केयर ऑफ. एंड जनरली व्हीकल हेल्थ, अगर आपकी गाड़ी सर्विस नहीं हुई है, आप सर्विस करा के लेके जाएं. ऑयल कैरी करें, दैट्स कम अंडर your space, and nothing like having correct music in your car. अगर आप म्यूजिक भूल गए हो तो फिर आप काम नहीं चलेगा माउंटेन्स में या कहीं पे भी लॉन्ग ट्रिप पे. हाँ हरी, क्या बोलते हो आप?
Absolutely, absolutely.
है ना? Do you want to add something on the vehicle preparation
yeah.
bit, because I know
We were, getting a lot of queries from people. We know we can go driving everywhere where there's a road, but some really special, routes which you guys have done where the nature or the sceneries or, landscapes have been out of the world. Could you share some journeys with us?
तो हमारे कैलेंडर में दो तीन एक स्पेशल रूट्स होते हैं जो हम हर साल करते हैं, और स्पीति वैली इज वन ऑफ देम, लद्दाख इज वन ऑफ देम. वी लेट्स टॉक अबाउट स्पीति सिंस हरी इज आल्सो हियर विद अस. स्पीति हैज बीन हैपनिंग फॉर अ लॉन्ग टाइम, एंड हर साल मैं और हरी जाते हैं उसके ट्रिप पे. दिस स्टार्ट्स फ्रॉम चंडीगढ़. दिस इज जनरली अ 9 to 10 day ट्रिप, बिकॉज उसमें हमने रेस्ट स्टॉप्स भी लगा रखे हैं लोगों के लिए, so that people can rest and enjoy, not just driving from point to point. And that's what a driving holiday should be about. Not driving from point to point, but also, going there and taking in the sights and sounds. So let's say अगर हम चंडीगढ़ से start करते हैं, we go from Chandigarh to Shimla for a lunch halt. उधर से लंच करने के बाद हम नारकंडा की तरफ जाते हैं. शाम तक हम वहाँ पहुँच जाते हैं. एंड नारकंडा के साथ में ही हाटू टेम्पल है. हाटू पीक पे जाते हैं हम शाम के टाइम. वो टेम्पल लोगों को दिखाते हैं. कम बैक डाउन and stay at the Tethys ski resort in Narkanda. And Narkanda से हम चलते हैं अगले दिन सांगला की तरफ. Is that right, Hari? Sangla is the next stop.
Yeah.
And Sangla we stay at Banjara camp, जहाँ पे हम 2 nights रहते हैं. This is like an acclimatization and getting the people together. इधर आप पूरी जो चितकुल की village है, जो which is the last village, is that right? Last village, Indian village.
Yeah.
वहाँ हम डे ट्रिप्स करते हैं, ऑफ रोडिंग ऑर्गेनाइज करते हैं. दिस इज एट चितकुल एंड सांगला. सांगला के बाद हरी, व्हाई डोंट यू टेक ओवर एंड टेल अस व्हाट वी डू नेक्स्ट?
But then we get into the Nako, get to a place called Nako, which is the gateway into the Spiti Valley from the Sangla side. And there we have a lovely person called Shanta who hosts us in his tented camps. So this is what I'm trying to say. When you travel, you get to meet a lot of nice people. Shanta is a wonderful guy who's done his college here in Chandigarh. So he's half Punjabi and absolutely the Himachali as well. So he hosts us there and looks after us. Then from there we move on to Kaza. En route we have Tabo, which has a monastery again. And en route also there's a very interesting mummy, 500-year-old mummy at Gyu, which is again worth seeing. And Kaza by itself is a fantastic valley. You have the highest inhabited village in the world, the highest post office which runs 12 months of the year. The postmaster himself is incredible. He, goes down from Comic, which is about 4-hour trek down into Kaza to drop his letters maybe once a week or so. But we post
every year we get.
Yeah, every year we post. Everybody posts a letter back home to their loved ones from there and takes a photo up next to the board which says the highest post office in the world. And everybody goes back and is waiting for their postcards. Some get it within a week, some get it within a month, some even 2 months, 3 months, and every time my postcard hasn't come. So there's a lot of chat going on in the group, and suddenly mine has reached.
Hari, what are the stay arrangements in these far off places? Do you guys stay in homestays or how does it work? And if you were to suggest 2 trips, and not only in the north of India, because we are bringing different parts of India, some other part of India that you would like to bring to the viewers as to where could they travel to?
Okay, so now staying is totally personal. You can start from the basic guest houses, which are, maybe 400 rupees a night or 500 rupees a night, depending on your budget. Then you move up to homestays, which are fantastic. The homestay has picked up very big up in the north, and I'm sure down south as well. Where you actually get to stay with the host, learn a lot more, you get more information, more knowledge, and I definitely would prefer a homestay over a 5-star hotel where you just check into a room and enjoy your comfort and move on the next day, because you don't really experience the local culture, the food, everything, what the locals, how they live. So from there, from homestay, then we also have decent hotels. Of course, on this trip, we have we have lunch at the Wildflower Hall, which is the Oberoi's property, which is one of the best there. Then we move on to Banjara, which is again a very, very nice campsite hotel. And Nako is down back to basics in a tent with no attached toilets even, so you have common loos. And then you come into Kaza, which has nice hotels. The Devachan Group is a fantastic property there. There's Dezor. So there's a whole lot of, it's opening up every year. You go, you find new hotels. And then in Manali, of course, you have number of choices in Manali. You have the Mahindra Holidays property. You have the Banners, the Johnsons. You know, you name them, and you can enjoy different types, and down to the basic guest houses and homestays as well. So it's a varied, that's what I like about India, that you can travel in any budget that you have. You don't have, you know, you can't say, oh, I can't go to India, it's too expensive. No, it's not. Or, you know, India doesn't have the right properties to go to. I don't want to stay in those low properties. So it depends on your budget, from the Vilases, which are, you know, 50,000 rupees a night, to down to 500,000 rupees a night. So that's the beauty of India. You can suit your pocket.
And would you agree that it is this homestays, you know, that bring you the more genuine and the more individual experience, rather than staying in a standard format 100-room hotel?
I absolutely agree with you there, ma'am, because a person who's running a homestay obviously is interested, apart from whatever money he's making, but he's also interested in meeting people. That's why he's opened a homestay, and he's willing to open his home up to you, and to share with you whatever experiences he's had, and he's willing to take you to places where he's grown up in. You know, he knows that area at the back of his hand, and there's nobody better than him to show you that particular place. So I highly recommend homestays, and they're fantastic. And nowadays on online, you can find homestays, dime a dozen, and they all have their ratings as well. So which is a good thing. And the good thing about the rating is that the homestay owner gets to rate his guests as well. So you know what kind of guests. So even the guests also behave themselves. Like I said, you got to be an ambassador in somebody else's states, and you behave yourselves. It's a great system that's come into place.
Yes, I think it's very important, viewers. We keep talking about it in all our webinars. They need to be a responsible traveler, because you are going into somebody else's domain. So please follow certain norms of decency that are required, and also do not litter. Do not create noise beyond a point, because you are going to create a lot of disturbance. Also, Hari, picking up from your point that you mentioned about how a local can really showcase their own areas. Viewers, I have been mentioning it in our earlier webinars, but I must mention it here again, is the program which the ministry is running on the Incredible India Tourist Facilitator Certification Program, which is rolled out already on 1st of January this year. Anyone can enroll if you're above the age of 18 and join in that program, learn about the Incredible India, and become a certified, what should we say, host? Well, I don't even know what to really call it. It's your country, just show it in any way. And this certification is at an inexpensive cost of 2,000 rupees only. Take an exam online, become a registered tourist facilitator, and showcase your beautiful, incredible India the way you want to showcase it. So I just wanted to make everybody aware of this flagship program that the ministry is running. In fact, the program gives a format to a vision of our Honorable Prime Minister, where he wants each of us to become the brand ambassadors of our own country. So do enroll for that program. Hari, back to you guys.
Yep. And like we were saying that, you know, hospitality is amazing in India. People from all over the world come for the Indian hospitality, the Indian wedding, it's known around the world. So there's something you have to experience. And like we run these organized tours and stuff, but I'm saying if you guys have got a good car, you got a SUV, you want to do this trip on your own, there's nothing stopping you. You know, today everything is available online. You have this fantastic outlet called Decathlon, where you can pick up just about anything for an expedition up into the mountains or going into the interiors anywhere. So, you know, from your tents to your cooking equipment, to your utensils, your gear, like your clothing, you know, warmers, shoes. I mean, shoes used to be a big problem, trekking shoes or mountaineering, where you now you can pick them up quite reasonably at Decathlon. So that's been a big boost for the individual traveler as well. Your car, like Manish said, you know, ideally, if you are two cars, it's always safer if you're going into the interiors, but sticking to the highways, no issues. Where you have network, you can always call for help. But nice to have, you know, two cars, minimum two cars when you travel. And, you know, today's cars are pretty much bulletproof. It's not the Ambassador Fiat days where you had to carry a lot of stuff. I personally, you get everything along the way. And if you If you do something to your car which you can't get along the way, believe me, you won't be able to fix it either. So that's my.
Yeah, that's true.
So just just play it long and stress-free. The moment you step out of your comfort zone, you'll realize what you've been missing all these years. You step out, you meet people, how they take you into your homes, they invite you over. If you're just a family, you got your kids, they realize what you're doing, and they your number plate says it all. If you're out of state, they'll go out of the way to help you. In terrains where in the interiors, it's the modern cities where we don't bother if a car is stuck or something with no help. Because we know that guy's probably called for help or whatever. That's the attitude. But up in the interiors, you see a car parked on the side, you always stop. Ask him if there's any problem, if you can help. Even the locals go out of the way. They'll actually, I ran out of fuel. He took out, at one point, this guy took me to his house. He took out fuel from his tractor tank. So he gave me diesel from his fuel tank out of his tractor, which, why would he do that? His petrol pump is some 150 kilometers away.
Manish,
Hari, do you remember? Do you remember the time when one of the getaways had lost a torsion bar on the way up to Manali?
Yes.
And we literally fixed the torsion bar on the road and gave them a lift all the way. This couple was there and they were so happy.
Yeah.
Manish, you are in Mumbai and therefore talking about other parts of India. Would you like to talk about some routes that people can explore and travel to in maybe the west of India or down south? Where else could people travel to?
See, originally I'm also from Delhi, so I've been living in Bombay for way too long. That's a different thing. But otherwise, west में भी काफी routes हैं. Especially the monsoon in the west is the best time to be out on the road. Like right now, अभी जो greenery जो आपको दिखेगी महाराष्ट्र में, वो उससे बेहतर कुछ चीज नहीं है महाराष्ट्र में फिलहाल. So there are a lot of.
You mean? I believe yes, the beauty of Western Ghats.
That's right. The Great Western Ghats and the kind of green cover that you get, especially in the months from June to about September. This is a fantastic time to be here. Bombay के अगर आसपास आपको trip लेनी है तो महाबलेश्वर है, which is like a hill station. Of course, it's not like as high as the northern hill stations, but it is definitely a getaway for people from Bombay.
As we mentioned right at the beginning, that India has the world's second largest length of roads across the country. And I can tell you from personal experience at driving through Rajasthan, Gujarat, Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh, UP, most parts of India, Odisha, you go to Karnataka, you go to Tamil Nadu, you go to Kerala, you go to Goa, you go to Andhra Pradesh, you just go anywhere, I think that's
you
what
can travel anywhere now. You can travel anywhere because road की quality जो इतनी अच्छी हो गई है पहले से. I remember when we started doing this, you had to plan your journeys. Today, the road quality is so good that 1,000 kilometers in one day is absolutely doable. पहले दिल्ली से बॉम्बे अगर आपको travel करना हो city to city, it was a 2-day thing. But if you plan your timings and departures well, it can easily be done in a single day. 1,000 kilometers plus can be done. So that just shows that road की quality कितनी improve हो गई है, especially after the GQ came in, Golden Quadrilateral came in. The connectivity is so good. In fact, पहले roads monsoon में एकदम खराब हो जाती थी. Abhi now I can drive to Mahabaleshwar or drive to Lonavala through the Pune Expressway and be there in no time. The quality of roads has gone up, and that of course the reliability of vehicles has also gone up. So we are able to do these things without thinking twice. So Bombay के आसपास तो आप बहुत चीजें कर सकते हैं. Like you asked, Lonavala है, Mahabaleshwar है. Goa is a one-day drive now. I remember when we started doing it, Goa was a good 18-hour journey उस टाइम. आज आप वो 10-11 घंटे में कवर कर सकते हो अगर आप सही टाइम पे निकलो without traffic. So definitely there's been a lot of improvement in the infrastructure. But
any thoughts on the east of India? Because personally, of course, I've again traveled to Bagdogra, from Bagdogra to Gangtok, to Darjeeling. We've done, I think, all those routes and they're amazing. But if you have any experience, that would be fantastic to share.
Yeah, we used to do an expedition called the Authentic Northeast in the Northeast area of India. And हम उधर से गुवाहाटी से चलते थे, शिलोंग कवर करते थे, तवांग कवर करते थे. And वो जगह untouched है. Like Ladakh and Spiti are still little bit commercial, and although Spiti is not so much, but you'll see lot more tourists there. But Northeast में आपको लोग नहीं दिखते, कम दिखते हैं. And the stark difference in culture is so evident. आप जाएंगे वहाँ पे beautiful landscape, beautiful scenery, beautiful people, and very hospitable. They're so glad to see people from maybe a Delhi, maybe Bombay, Bangalore, कहीं से भी और कोई भी और part of India. When you go there, you will feel so welcome when you get there. हाँ Hari, you go there almost every year for one of those festivals. Hornbill Festival में जाते हैं आप?
Yeah, Manish, the Northeast, ma'am, is a fantastic area to explore. It's not been explored, and the people there are fantastic. I've been associated with them for the last 12 or 13 years. In fact, we've been doing an event, a time speed rally within Kohima every year during the Hornbill Festival. And believe me, the people there, the government, the Honorable Chief Minister himself is personally involved in everything. We've had a great relationship with him, and he's been a fantastic host. The people of Nagaland are unbelievable. Among all friends, there are friends for life. And then you move on to Arunachal, again, the Honorable Chief Minister, the young, dynamic Chief Minister there, he's doing fantastic. They actually make sure that you have a good time. The Orange Festival in Dambuk is something which I've not seen. They're all fond of music in the Northeast, and everything is just, circled around music.
Oh,
The
yeah.
Chief Minister himself plays the guitar, sings songs at a party. All of a sudden, I was invited to a, evening dinner at the CM's residence, and I thought it's going to be one of those, boring evenings where we're going to just have to chat around. But no, the Chief Minister, his cabinet colleagues, his, finance minister's on the drums, somebody was on the, guitar, and he was singing away, enjoying every moment. So they actually, they live their life, and that's what a lot of us need to go see. The infrastructure may not be the best, but their hearts are open, and some of the routes like Imphal, Manipur, Nagaland, in Kohima in Nagaland, these are all the expeditions we did. In fact, going back much earlier to 2004, when the government had initiated the Look East policy, and our Prime Minister at that time wanted to open the borders into the further east. And unfortunately, the government changed, but that didn't change. The next government actually took it over to run the first ASEAN car rally, which was 8,000 kilometers all the way from Guwahati to Indonesia. So there were 60 cars, and in between in Laos, Vientiane, the Prime Minister was there for a summit as well. He hosted us there. He flagged us off from there again. So it was something like Europe. If you can drive within countries, that's the vision that we have, and I hope we get to see that where you can
actually.
actually.
You touched Northeast, and that's a part of India where a lot of us have not traveled to and would be quite keen, and especially with your inputs, I think it will encourage a lot of people. But could you give us some routes as to, if I set out from Guwahati, where should I drive to and where could I stop? That would be a great value addition to today.
You see, that's the best part about travel when you have your own car. You don't have to pre-book your ticket. You don't have to go from airlines. So yes, you take it as it is. You move up you land in Guwahati or you land in Dimapur, which is down in the plains. Then you start moving up depending on how much you want to drive, how many hours you want to drive, how much highways you want to cover, how much of the interiors you cover. So it's a very personal choice. But yes, your end, destination could be Kohima to Imphal, and then you can loop around back into Guwahati. You start from, then you can even do.
I probably. Hari, we generally, if you remember, we did Guwahati, we did Bomdila,
Yeah.
Bomdila se Tawang se we come back and we get into the national park area, and Shillong is the place where we used to end. This was a 7-day loop, which can be easily doable. It's not fast, it's not hurried at all, and you get to see so much in this time, especially when you go up to Tawang.
Yeah, so maybe you can share some more of these, loops where people can travel and say that, okay, I can plan a 5-day or a 7-day. That's a good takeaway for viewers. Also, a couple of inputs that people are asking for, that when they get down, let's say at Guwahati, how do you rent a vehicle in India? That's a question coming from guests from overseas who've logged in, and also from Indians. The other query coming from overseas is that, do you need an international driving license in India?
Yes.
So if you could kindly let us know about that.
So IDP की ज़रूरत होती है. If you're an expat, you definitely need an IDP. Also, another thing when you're renting out a vehicle is what people have faced is most of these websites like Zoom Car or maybe Miles Cars, they probably want your payment to be in Indian currency. So most likely आपको शायद Indian credit card लेके आपको book करनी पड़ती है. You might have to book using an Indian credit card, but if you have your passport and your IDP in place, you should be able to drive using self-drive vehicles
Yeah, but
as a foreign national.
make sure you have your insurance covered on the when you
Absolutely. And as an expat, I would probably have to tell you that be prepared for the worst, because you're not prepared for the kind of driving Indians are used to and what you are used to. It's very, very different. So take it easy. I would say take about 5-6 days pehle aap aaye, to come before your trip, and get used to the traffic, get used to the local ways of doing things, because we use our hazard lights in various ways. We use our indicators
That's
to
the thrill,
indicate the
right?
path.
That's the thrill. And a lot
Yeah.
of people go all the way to Antarctica and to Arctic just for the thrill of doing something that you've never done
Exactly.
before. The idea is to come out of your comfort zone and do things and challenge yourself in more ways than one. Isn't that what driving is all about?
Absolutely.
So I would highly encourage everyone,
Yeah,
whether
please,
Indian
that's what,
please come and experience what is incredible India.
Come
It's
and experience our madness. Come and experience our madness.
Absolutely, absolutely. So going back to the itineraries, if you could, share those 5-day or the 7-day, how could people plan in Northeast or in North or in the West or the South? That would be fantastic.
Okay, so let's go with city first, since we talked about it. It's a 9-day journey. Start from Chandigarh. Take your first stop at Narkanda. Narkanda से आप next stop लें सांगला में. सांगला में we spend 2 nights. From Sangla onwards we go on to Nako. Nako is a 1 night. Nako से हम जाते हैं Kaza, and we visit Tabo and Gyu on the way to Kaza. Kaza में you take 2 nights, because you can then explore the local monasteries and everything. Then from Kaza to Manali. Manali again we take 2 nights, because Kaza to Manali is a long drive, and it's a fantastic drive because most of the road is not there, and only when you get closer to Manali do you actually see proper tarmac. And Manali se then we get back into Chandigarh. That is on the 9th day. So 9 दिन की itinerary है, which is easily doable, and you'll get to see most of what the Spiti Valley has to offer. Of course, you can आप उसमें days add कर सकते हैं, but 9 days is bare basic. I think don't you agree, Hari? 9 days is what you want for this.
Again, that's the ideal time. But again, you can extend it for as much as you want. Kazakh, you can spend 3 days, 4 days. There's the Pin Valley. There's the national park. There's a whole lot of stuff to do depending on your schedule.
आप 9 से 15 दिन भी कर सकते हो if you want. But 9 days is bare basic. You want to be able to enjoy this particular loop of the Spiti Valley, which starts from Chandigarh and ends in Chandigarh. अब ये एक दूसरा रूट भी हम जो करते हैं वो करते थे फिलहाल. That was into Rajasthan. This is the route we used to do during New Year's. We used to celebrate the 1st January New Year on the dunes in Jaisalmer. So this is out of Delhi. Delhi to Delhi route है ये. 7 days का route होता है. You can also end it in Jaipur if you'd like to. तो Delhi से हम निकलते हैं Alsisar. Alsisar is about a day's drive, and you get to stay in these palatial properties. Alsisar Mahal एक जगह है, बहुत बढ़िया जगह है, उधर रह सकते हैं आप. Alsisar से we get into Bikaner. Bikaner में again we have 2 nights, and then we get into Jaisalmer. Jaisalmer में 2 nights again, and then we go back into Gajner and through Jaipur and back to Delhi. So about 7 days is what you want to spend here. I would ideally take a little bit more time, because Jaisalmer में बहुत चीजें देखने के लिए, बीकानेर में भी काफी जगह हैं देखने के लिए, but जैसलमेर में जो ड्यून ड्राइविंग हम कराते हैं लोगों से, which you get to enjoy a part of some dunes, that is fantastic, very very enjoyable. So that's a 7-day loop that you can do. So ये 2 loops हो गए. Hari, can you give us another loop for people to follow? Maybe a 5
Ahmedabad
days.
say you can go into the Run of Kutch. That's another area. There's no, properties. There are lots of properties in the Run. The Run is a fantastic place to spend some time. And basically that's out of Ahmedabad in Gujarat. And like Manish said, Rajasthan, every city in Rajasthan is approximately 300 kilometers distance from each other. You see Jaipur, Jodhpur, Udaipur to Jaisalmer. It's about 300, Jaisalmer to Bikaner, Jodhpur to Bikaner. It's around about 300 kilometers. So that's pretty easy. So you can easily do 300 kilometers in a day and stop en route.
Yeah, the roads are fantastic. RJ roads are superb, arrow straight, and you can continue driving without much traffic.
Then
and,
you go down.
Yeah, go ahead.
Then you go down south, you can plan your trips out of Bangalore into Chikmagalur, Munnar, down, Cochin is another fantastic destination, backwaters, Alapi, go into those areas, 3 days, 4 days trips. Our rallies used to go up from Cochin up into Munnar, where the Tata Tea is there, the tea gardens, fantastic landscape, unbelievable. During the monsoons also, it's a fantastic place with rainy season. It's all green. Winters are fantastic in Cochin as well during that time. You can drive out of Coimbatore up into Ooty, which is a short distance, and then cut across into Munnar side, or you can make many itineraries depending on where you have to just decide as to which cities you want to cover, and then you plan, look up on the map and see which all places you want to stop en route. Chikmagalur is another fantastic destination from Bangalore. There's a lot of coffee plantations where you can go. There are a lot of homestays, brilliant homestays there, and a lovely place. And then just leave it to your local host to actually open our mind up to the local areas.
Yes, I'm quite glad you're mentioning that. In fact, a lot of viewers are interjecting and asking that they are suggesting that India, of course, has many more expedition options now, viewers. It is not just that it's a large company or a small company. There are many people who moved into this area of providing for tours that are driving tours. So log into the websites, and we will also keep adding more information on the incredibleindia.org website as we go along, because your interest drives us, viewers. So if you keep sending us and push us that, come on, why don't you give us more information on this? We are more than happy to bring you the different facets of tourism in India, and therefore driving is one of them. I am, as always, so glad that all of you are saying, hey, why are you only telling about this? Well, that's what Incredible India is all about. The moment you touch even one part of India, you are short on time that, oh my God, how do I show you the rest of India? So just remain tuned in. We'll keep bringing you many more parts of our Incredible India. Back to you guys.
So I was getting into these smaller trips because, especially when you live in a city, you might not have that kind of time to, do a 7-day trip or, do a 10-day journey. Let's say if you're in Bombay, I would say if you want to take a very, very short vacation, the best place to drive if you don't want to get into Western Ghats is go into Udaipur. It's a single-day drive. You spend 2 days in Udaipur and see the sights around. Kumbhalgarh is there and everything. Beautiful city. And in terms of tourism, they've done such a great job in, preserving the architecture and preserving the culture and the heritage and everything. So that's about a 4-day thing. If you start on Friday, you can be back on Monday very, very easily from Bombay. And the road is absolutely great.
What about Manish? You can also head to Bandhavgarh from Bombay as well. It's pretty accessible.
Yeah, it's accessible, but then you get into the interior roads. Since Udaipur is on the GQ, it is much faster.
Yeah,
Plus, we used to also do the wild escape karte the hum.
Exactly. That's things. We have some lovely,
That was a 5-day trip. But that was a 5-day trip. We visit all the sanctuaries around in MP and MH border pe. So that's about 5 days. We need 5 working days.
So that's where Rajasthan, I would say Rajasthan in the winters and the mountains in the summers would be a good option for you. Because, the Rajasthan has all the wildlife. Ranthambore is a fantastic place to visit in the winters to see the tiger in its own habitat. Bandhavgarh is another in Madhya Pradesh. There's lots to see. It's just you guys have to get out of your comfort zone and just start planning. And believe me, your cars are good. Nowadays, you have some good options. You can rent cars wherever you go, most of the places. But just start with doing trips out of your own backyard, into your own backyard. Short trips to start with. Visit Decathlon to pick up some amazing stuff for your driving trips. And you'll start enjoying your family outings a lot more. Instead of, I've traveled a lot. I don't want to say anything negative about Europe and stuff, but believe me, I've seen some beautiful places in this country which everybody just says, oh, this summer I went to Europe. Fair enough. Please go. And nobody's stopping you. But take some time out to visit your own country. And believe me, you will not regret it.
Absolutely. There's so much to see. And, Hari and I have been doing this for so long, but we never, ever get bored. Every time we go to these places, even if we're repeating these places, there's always something new to have a new story always. But like Hari also said, take it easy. don't immediately try and do a Ladakh drive. Maybe start with something small. Okay, get comfortable with your own driving abilities. Get comfortable with your own vehicle. Take it in small steps. I would probably say go for quality over quantity. Don't try to cover too much, because then you miss out the essence and charm of these places. Try and cover maybe less places, but really, really enjoy them. And sabse zyada, in today's times, take care of the environment. A lot of our people are, probably not doing the things that they are doing correct. It's very, very important. Even when you're driving, stop throwing stuff onto the road. It's not somebody else's job to pick your stuff up. Ensure that whenever you go into these untouched areas, especially into deserts, into maybe forests, wherever you're allowed, do not litter. Take your garbage with you, because a lot of people I've seen are not responsible. So I would really, really encourage you guys to be responsible people whenever you're out, and set an example for others. When you start doing it, 3 other people will look at you and also do it as well, and that's how we'll get this thing to go on.
So one more question that is coming from a lot of viewers, because as you all must be aware, in India, a number of people prefer vegetarian food as a choice food. And so people are concerned that when they travel, particularly to the Northeast or some other parts of the country, would vegetarian food be easily available? Hari, what's your experience on that?
Well, I mean, vegetarian food is the easiest food available all throughout India. Maybe Northeast, you might have a little problem because they love their pork and their meats and stuff like that. But 90% of India is vegetarian. You go to any local dhaba, you'll get the best of dals anywhere. And a dal, sabji and a roti is anywhere. And then as you want higher stuff, you go into restaurants and stuff like that, make your plans accordingly. Then now, you have your, if you want to move up a little bit, you have your pit stops like your McDonald's, all these outlets that have pretty much opened up on all the major highways.
Nothing like authentic dhaba food though. Nothing like authentic dhaba food.
Nothing like that. Another thing which has been extremely useful for me, I mean, on all our expeditions is a pop-up toilet tent, it's a foldable thing. It's very easy. It takes 10 seconds to open, and you get it at Decathlon or on Amazon. Just keep that in the car. So sometimes you don't, find a decent toilet, or there is no toilet anywhere. You just set it up, go do your job, and fold it and put it back in the car. It's quite useful in emergencies and where you can't find a decent toilet. So that's one thing.
Essential on our trip. That's an essential on our trip. On all our expeditions, we've got this toilet tent, the foldable one. And that we can set it up anywhere, and we don't have to plan our rest stops that way.
It doesn't cost much. It's about 500 or 800 rupees. So it doesn't take any space either. It's just like one of those. It folds like one of those things that you keep on your window to keep the sun out. It's literally like that. It just folds up and.
I think that's a very valuable tip for all travelers who are planning to tour soon after COVID. In fact, viewers, the input that we are getting from all of you, in fact, is that as soon as the country is a little more safe to travel and we've beaten COVID hands down, road travel is the first one that's going to pick up. And while you can challenge yourself to do the 1,000 kilometers in a day, if you're really tearing for Hari, but I think the best way to see and the best way to experience is to travel slow, stop every sometime at a dhaba, as Manish suggested, tuck into a butter-soaked parantha or a dosa or a misal pav, or something different wherever you're traveling. That's what India is all about. The idlis and the dosas, the uttapams, the misal pavs and the vada pavs and the samosas and pakoras and whatnot that comes along the journey. Experience all that. I think it's the memories along the journey. And I don't remember the quote per se, but I think it's not the destination, but it's the journey, the quality of the journey that defines every journey. And I'm sure, therefore, there are many tips. You shall all be scouting the maps of India. There is a beautiful map of India on Google. Please see that, travel, look up our website, also theincredibleindia.org, which gives you so much information about so many parts of India and the experiences that India is: spiritual, wildlife, adventure, heritage, nature. There's nothing that we don't have. Just head out is our message to all of you. So Hari, a quick, we're almost at the end of time, but a quick last input from you. What is it that you would like to leave the the message for the viewers, and then Manish, after Hari, if you could also give a message.
Well, ma'am, like I said earlier, please just step out of your comfort zones. Travel is something great. It makes you, rejuvenates you. You go see places, you meet people, go out, have fun, but stay safe, drive safe, don't drink and drive. And please keep your environment clean. That's the most important thing. Over these last few months, we've seen some lovely photographs of our country, nice and clean. I've never seen cleaner rivers. I've never seen cleaner forests. I get photographs of Khajiar near Dalhousie, which is just unbelievable. I cannot imagine that that's something that we've had all these years. But because of COVID, whatever best we can take out of it is that let's just clean up our environment, let's clean up our country and leave it like that for generations to come. Have a safe trip, guys.
And my message is right here. Stay safe, take it easy, take care of the environment, and click tons of pictures, because that's where all your memories will come from, and it will definitely charge you up to take on these next trips. And keep driving. All I would say is just keep driving, get out of your house, go and see the world, go and see our country. It's really, really beautiful, and you'll never regret getting out of your house.
So keep driving, whether you go on a cycle, whether you go on a scooter, whether you go in a car, whether you go in an SUV, it does not matter. It's the journey and the quality of the journey and the company that you take along with you. That's what helps you create the memories. Take pictures, create happy memories with your family and friends, or just go solo. So thank you so much, Hari, and thank you so much, Manish, for bringing a very different dimension on how we can see our incredible India very, very soon. And viewers, on Saturday, because in the times of COVID, what has come forth as a necessary takeaway for now, and it's a good value addition for us for all times to come, is the need for public health. Is the need to how to keep ourselves healthy and how to keep the environment also healthy and safe. So we're going to bring you a 1-hour session with the Public Health Foundation, which is going to tell us the do's and the don'ts on how should we keep ourselves safe in times of not only COVID, but even otherwise. Because being part of travel, it is important that we need to keep healthy and safe. So that's the webinar we're going to bring you on Saturday, 11 a.m. Do remain tuned in, logged in for all the webinars that we've done before this. Today, we are completing 38 of them. All are available as repository on the Ministry of Tourism's website. Please visit them, see them, encourage us, and join us in our journey of going through incredible India. Thank you, viewers, once again for logging in and encouraging us. Thank you, Hari. Thank you, Manish. Thank you, Team NEGT. And thank you, everybody else who's been contributing to this beautiful journey of ours in incredible India. See you Saturday, 11 a.m. Namaste.
All right. Thank you.